You're listening to Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles episode 82, featuring Amazing Spider-Man number 226 and Uncanny X-Men number 155 from December 1981. Hello and welcome to the 82nd episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles podcast. I am your host, Pat, aka DJ Christatos. Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles is a podcast that will journal the Amazing Spider-Man comic book issues read chronologically by their release date, along with another comic from my comic book collection, either in digital, in a trade, or from the many long boxes stashed away in my basement. Each episode, we will provide short recaps and reviews and ratings of the issues for this release date. The goal is to keep me actively reading through my collection and having some fun along the way, talking about the comics with my friends. And speaking about my friends, we have joining me today is the one, the only, the Weasel Skull, Jason Albrecht.
Hey, Pat, can I put you on hold for? I've got a call. I'm working on a call right now.
Go ahead. No problem.
Yeah. Jim Skywriting. Yeah. This is what I want the message to say. I wanted to say, stuck it, DJ Christados, Dark Web, and Yard Sale Artist. Weasel Skull is the best Crusader. Always has been. Always will be. Got it? So how much is that? Hold on a minute, Pat.
Yeah.
Actually, I probably should ask Delvin. I need about $10,000 of Crusader Club money.
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, you're gonna have to steal a priceless work of art and sell it.
Hold on a minute. Jim, how much you dum-dums? Okay, we'll go with that. Then. All right, thanks. Anyway, great to be here. Glad to see all these fans ready to do a show, Pat.
Well, Jason, I'm looking forward to your skywriting gift card for us.
Oh, I thought you were on mute. I thought I muted you.
And I'm hopefully that's not coming out of Crusader Club money at all. That's coming out of your Crusademus present.
Maybe
you are now on Christmas light duty for the rest this time. All right. Well, let's go ahead and meet Delvin the Dark Web Williams. Delvin, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm great. In fact, Pat, you know why?
Why?
I was down a crooked path. Some might say I was like a little crazy even, but I wasn't. I was faking that. But I'm ready to go straight, I just need one thing.
What is that, Dylan?
Give me a kiss. Come on. Don't be shy. Just
maybe the next time I see you, I can, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Hey, Jim, can you cancel that skywriting? And just say, love you, Delvin, from Pat. Okay, thank you. Bye. All right. I got to figure it out.
We're on the same page. I don't want to know the book. No one needs to know the book, though, but we are on the same page.
Oh, well, we are one short of the LBC crew. Jared will not be with us today, as he is a little bit under the weather, and so we wish him well in getting to feel better. But he still was able to provide us some cover descriptions, so we will get somewhat of his voice in this recording. But with that, let's go ahead and meet our guest, our Crusader Club member and preferred transport service of the LBC crew, Dave Collins, aka Battle Wagon.
Well, hey guys, how's everybody doing today?
We're doing good, Dave. How are you?
I'm the only one who doesn't have skywriting in the budget. My only problem is that out in LBC Studios, the vending machine doesn't have any more Snickers in it. I had to go with just a Milky Way. I'm a little disappointed in that, but other than that, it's a good day, right? Good day.
You're such a fat slob, Dave.
I was going to say, we're not going to fat shame you here.
I was actually waiting on the Black Cat to tie me down.
He's been eating all that candy just for that to happen. And
I was hoping. I kept turning my back on her, like, "Come on, I'm looking for a sticker bar." But
all we got here is Mary Jane at the LBC headquarters.
I don't know about all that now.
I don't think we got. We don't got Felicia here yet. So,
but hello, everybody. It's great to see everybody again.
It is good to have you here, Dave.
Glad to be here.
Dave is one of our Crusader Club members who get the opportunity to join us on a recording of a show. So that's the perk for being a Crusaders Club member. And we do appreciate it, Dave. But what we also appreciate is everybody else that is either watching us or listening along, and you can join in on the fun as well too. You can leave us a voicemail that we may play later on in the show. Just leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. That was my smoke signal. Like there were music notes in front and behind it.
Yes. Now, before we get started with this episode's issue, let's take a quick podcast promo break, and we will be right back.
Back in 1940, 8 sensational heroes united to create the world's very first superhero team, the Justice Society of America. Now, 85 years later, we're gathering podcasters and bloggers from around the globe for a month-long celebration in an event we're calling JS April. Throughout April 2025, join dozens of content creators as they each share their own unique tributes to the original and greatest superhero team, including all-star podcasters and bloggers like
Justice Society presents
the LONGBOX CRUSADE podcast,
Campus Comics Cast,
Supergirl Comic Box Commentary,
the Quarter Bin Podcast,
the Bat Pod,
the Earth 2 Podcast, FW Team Up,
Diana Prince is the new Wonder Woman,
Fanholes Podcast,
Back to the Bins,
Coffee and Comics,
the Huntress Podcast,
*51.blogspot.com,
Justice Society Origins, a part of John Reed's Comics,
DC Specialcast,
Between the Pages blog,
The Outcasters, a Batman and the Outsiders podcast,
A World on Fire, an All-Star Squadron podcast,
JLA Stories and Friends,
The Monitor Tapes,
a Crisis on Infinite Earths podcast,
Lords of Order, a DC's Dr. Fate fan podcast,
David M. Gallagher at Medium.com,
JSA in the 90s,
Justice League Legacies,
DC Secret Files podcast,
Mike's Geek World,
Pop Culture Affidavit,
the Source Material Comics podcast,
That Giffen Show,
Worst Collection Ever,
The Fantastic Four.
It all comes back to Superman.
And that's just some of the podcasters and bloggers who'll be joining in the celebration. Get ready for a thrilling month of beloved characters, fascinating insights, and incredible stories. Follow the action on social media with the hashtag JSApril, and visit our website for a complete list of participating podcasters, bloggers, and what they're each covering at fireandwaterpodcast.com/JSApril.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the featured issue for this episode, and it is Amazing Spider-Man 226. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of March 1982. Its on sale date was December 1st, 1981. Its on sale date was December 1st, 1981. Cover priced was 60 cents. Editor is Thomas P. DeFalco.
Superstar.
Rock me on my Deus.
Rock me on my Deus.
I have to do this for Jared. I normally don't. I'm normally quiet, but
yeah.
Pulling double duty today.
Writer is Roger Stern. Penciler is John Romita Jr. Inks go to Jim Mooney. Letterer is Joseph Rosen. And colorist is the Bob Sharon. We've seen Bob before. But he's no Glynis. This is reprinted in Spider-Man Magazine number 2 from 1984, or you can find it in Backpack Marvel's Spider-Man trade paperback from 2000, Spider-Man versus the Black Cat trade paperback, or the Essential Spider-Man Volume 10 trade paperback, or under Spider-Man Nothing Can Stop the Juggernaut hardcover, or Spider-Man by Roger Stern Omnibus, or also on Marvel Masterworks Volume 293 of Amazing Spider-Man Volume 22. Cover Credits go to John Romita Jr. as the penciler, and inker is Alan Milgram.
$10 L.
$10 Al. Speaking about the cover, let's go ahead and get a cover description from Jason.
Thank you, Pat. The Marvel Comics group banner is black with red letters, just like they're always carrying on. Spider-Man swings in his white corner box, not afraid to die. The Amazing Spider-Man logo is white with black highlights with the webs sewed together, boy. The main action features a very cool and rakish top-down view where we see Spidey at the bottom of a wooden fence in an alleyway, living on the edge. Atop the wooden fence, peering down the wall crawler, is the Black Cat, 9 lives, casting a cat-like shadow down on Spidey. White lettering in the aforementioned shadow says, "She's back, the Black Cat. Personally, I don't understand why she insists on ways of living such a dangerous life." All right, so there's some clues in there. I'm going to guess it's from the Black Cat song by Janet Jackson or something. I don't know. Living on the Edge was that was
I was thinking
Aerosmith, but no, to me, but I'm guessing Black
Not
Cat.
Afraid to Die.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely Black Cat by Janet Jackson. Definitely.
So we got through it. Something color wheel. Take it away, boys.
All right, Jason, thank you for that cover description via Jared's thoughts. With that, let's go ahead and get to some quick cover thoughts on it. And we'll start with our guest, Dave, the Battle Wagon. What's your thoughts on this cover?
Well, it's Battle Van, but okay.
Sorry about that, Battle Wagon.
No, I actually really like this one. I love the perspective of this. I mean, I know some people, JR has kind of fallen out of favor recently with some folks, but I'm a fan. Especially like this is earlier work. I love the perspective of it. I love the shadow she casts as the cat. I hate to steal the trash can from Delvin.
A trash can.
But I also love that the initials of the artist and the inker were on the trash can, like a company logo over there, the J.R. Milgram on that. I really love it. I think it's a great looking cover, classic Spider-Man cover.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even recognize that J.R. Milgram on the trash can like that. So cool. Now that I look at it, that's a pretty cool idea that they did there. And I like that perspective, as, we call it around here, that rakish angle.
I'm not as classy as you guys. I just called it, looking down, top down.
Yeah, it is and all. And you're right. I really like how that shadow of the Black Cat is there. And they got the words kind of in it as well, too. So pretty good.
I think in artistic terms, it's called the bird's eye view.
Oh, thank you, Jared. Jason, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And speaking about Jason, let's go ahead and get your quick cover thoughts on it.
I'm with Dave. I really like this one. Black Cat is interesting to me. I know of her as a character, but she's very mysterious. I honestly don't know how she does those little Black Cat tricks that she does. So, this kind of cover really suggests a bit of menace, a little mystery. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man appears to be kind of in jeopardy, but from what we really don't know. The background's a little bit dark and dank. This is kind of like a grungy little relationship that's forming here inside these pages. And I think the pièce de résistance that I really like is the big cat shadow down there where that contains all the text. So altogether, I think it's really, really well put together.
Yes, definitely. That is an interesting take on this cover. Is she a menace? What's going on? How is this going to happen? And I think it's a pretty good recap of what this issue is kind of about. Let's go ahead and go to Delvin the Dark Web Williams. What's your thoughts on the cover? And go ahead and provide some information from the listeners as well.
Nothing huge from the listeners, other than apparently Alvin Elvis wanted us to know the phrase dimples of Venus, even though it's not suitable for work. So while I'm doing my review, you can look at it, Dave is laughing at it. So it looks like he might be aware of what that is. I'm not actually. I'll have to look it up later. Now, having said that, I think of all things, the shadow with the cat on it makes the cover, because you can't fully see Black Cat, even though you got, her from the back and, not looking menacing, just being there. And then you've got Spider-Man in an action pose, sort of, not necessarily looking to attack, but not necessarily just being there either. So what kind of makes it is that black cat, like a shadow. That's pretty cool. And just as a point of order, gentlemen, don't feel bad. That's not a trash can.
A trash can.
It's more like a big trash receptacle. So it's not just a can. So, but I appreciate the usage of the bit. It's okay.
You're the expert on trash cans, sir. I default to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Dave. Thank you.
Is that more dumpster, would you say? More dumpster?
Yeah, it's more of a dumpster. Yes. Okay. Yes, not a trash can.
A trash can.
Not a trash can. Well, there are some kind of sprinkled there next to it, but you guys keep mentioning it, the black cat. In the past issues we've seen her in, she's kind of used that kind of shadowy cat to then kind of say that there were some menacing things or whatever her special kind of power was starting to happen, or at least to be on the lookout for it. So I like how they kind of folded that in as well in this issue. That's what I thought when I kind of saw that the cat symbol there, that Spider-Man was going to definitely be in trouble. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the cover ratings on this issue. As a reminder, here at the LBC, it is a rating of 1 through 5. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it.
Meow.
2, you didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers. You get a hiss.
Delvin.
I'm filling in for Jared.
You're killing me with the sound effects.
I'm filling in for Jared. Jared would do this.
Oh my God.
Thank you, Delvin. You're doing a great job. You're doing an awesome job. Let's go ahead and go to Dave. What's your rating on the cover?
Just because this is my first time, I've been on a show with you guys quite a few times, but never this one. And I've always wanted to. And I am gonna go. It tickled my tummy feathers for 2 reasons. 1, because I really liked it, and 2, I've just always wanted to say it tickled my tummy feathers.
Oh, so every time you call me and we chat, you say it. It doesn't mean anything.
Well, I haven't said it in public.
Oh,
so
okay.
This is a public forum. Pat, that's between me and you.
Anyway,
this is a public declaration of it tickled my tummy feathers.
Family show, Pat.
Well, we do appreciate you being here, Dave, and getting your tummy feathers tickled. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I do like this one. I do like.
Does that mean a 5, Dave?
That is a 5. Yeah, that's a 5. I really like this. I just like the perspective of it. Like I said, you can't. It's just a good view. I like the cat. I just really like it. And I'm a junior fan, so I really, really like this one.
All right. Well, let's go to Jason. Are you on the same way? Is your tummy feathers ticklish?
I don't think I can go all the way to 5, but I'm definitely at a 4. There's a lot of work that was put into this cover. A lot of things had to come together well in order to make it work, and it does. I think for me, maybe what's kind of missing is just kind of that A-list villain being on the cover with Spider-Man. And that's just kind of a personal choice for me, but I'll stick with 4.
Wait a minute.
Wait. Go ahead, Delvin.
Wait a minute. Black Cat. That's pretty A-list.
It's pretty A-list, I think.
Is it?
Did you see my head whip around? I was like,
I am feeling you guys. Yeah, I think she's
absolutely.
Is she A-list? A-list villain for Spider-Man? She's up there with Green Goblin.
He's A-list character.
She's an A-list character, and I hear that doubt in your voice, and I don't like it, Jason. Just
okay. She needs to convince me she's going to be an A-list character, because we'll get into the character itself when we talk about the book, but she's not A-list in Weasel Skull's mind yet. But I hear you. I'm going to stick with a 4.
Sounds like we need a poll on the chat. Is she A-list or not?
I'm actually okay with that. Yes, chat, please let us know if you feel that Black Cat is an A-list Spider-Man character.
Yes, we would definitely like to know. And while we give you a time to fill that in, Delvin, give us your thoughts.
So just a few comments that we've gotten from Auburn Elvis. He says, Black Cat is not A-list, and then says she's A-list. Matt Passo says, Black Cat's for sure up there. Eric Porter says, Black Cat is certainly A-list, just not in comics at this point. at this point, I would agree that you probably need, if you saw her in a movie, if they brought like, some 23-year-old, to put on a cat suit in there or whatever, like, Black Cat, then everyone will love her. More ratings, you've got Billy D says the cover's a 3 out of 5. Matt Paso says, I give it a 4, cool angle, fun concept. Auburn Elvis says the cover is a 5, anything less and you're a hater.
Ooh,
I knew I liked that guy.
Eric Porter says 3, everything but the characters or details. Spider-Man looks more animated while we only get the Black Cat's back. Black Cat's back.
That's all right. I like that.
Does that have something? What's that term?
Dimples something?
Dimples of Venus?
Is that like the drops of Jupiter?
Maybe.
Talking about the Black Cat's dumpster.
And finally, Chris at BT on Batbook says, I got 3. Great composition. Not sure on the color backgrounds. I give it a 4 myself. It's a fun cover. It's a good cover. And again, I think I would have been fine at giving it a 3, but I think it was an inventive way that they put the shadow that they were both casting as that cat, and then use that to, put the type script of she's back, the Black Cat in there. So I like that a lot. And that bumped it up to a 4 for me.
All right. Well, Delvin, thank you for giving us what the people in the chat thought about it. And thank you in the chat for letting us know what you thought of Black Cat is an A-list character or not. And we can continue that polling if you're listening to this in podcast form in the comments. So we definitely want to hear more what your thoughts are on that. And I am going to agree with Delvin and Jason on this one. I am at a 4. So I like the composition. I do agree with Chris from BTO and Batbooks, where he says the coloring. I think you could have used a little bit different, maybe a little bit different coloring on the ground effect, possibly, instead of just the two greeny colors. Would be, I think would help it out a little bit more. With that said, that means we're 3 cool guys at a 4 and 1 tickled chump.
I don't care. My tummy feathers are still just as tickled as they can be.
Oh yeah, and you can't be wrong. It's everybody's opinion on it, and we're glad that you are able to get your laughter and fulfillment out of it, Dave. With that, let's go ahead and get to the story synopsis for this issue, and that's brought to you by Delvin.
Change me apart all. 君はなぜ戦い続けるのか、命をかけて一筋に無敵の男スパイダーマン。
The title of this issue is But the Cat Came Back. The action starts at Mitchell State Hospital, where we check in on Greg Salinger. That would be Fool Killer, being checked in, taking this issue 2 steps back. Ugh. But we jump 2 steps forward when we see that Felicia Hardy, that would be Black Cat to you, is also at Mitchell, but instead of being a complete loon like Fool Killer, she was very clearly faking her craziness as she dupes her nurse and escapes. Spidey finds out this news from police captain Jean DeWolf. I don't like cigarettes, but she likes to smoke. Spidey tries to find Cat, but can't, even as Cat broke into a rich guy's, Phil Bradshaw's house to steal a painting, and unbeknownst to Spidey, also sees a disguised Felicia at a laundromat. Felicia can't find Spidey either, though, and takes out money to send an airplane smoke-sick. She's got the money to do that. Spidey's always broke. Once they get together, Cat tells Spidey she'll go straight if they date, but Spidey isn't quite convinced. Well, Cat convinces Spidey by getting him to go to Bradshaw's party, which is basically a big mob party. Spidey moves slowly, but Baby Cat's fast. They both take out some bad guys. Jean DeWolf helps clean up too, and the issue ends with Spidey and Cat lip-locking. Ooh. I guess when they get together, it just all works out. Back to you, Scat Cat. Pat.
Thank you, Delvin. But, it ain't fiction. It's a natural recap that you did. Because that's what happens when opposites
attract. Yeah.
I knew it on the second line. I knew it like, oh.
I saw it. I saw you like, aha, I got it.
I was just waiting. I'm like, but he doesn't use that line. I can use that line. All right. Thank you, Delvin, for that fun recap. Let's go ahead and get into the fun stuff that we do here at the bric-a-brac, so to say, of our issue reviews. First off, is it a first read or a reread? We'll start with Dave. First read or reread?
It's a reread for Dave.
Ooh, reread for Dave.
The 200s is Amazing Spider-Man. The 200s is my jam. That's
okay.
Like one of my favorite eras. Yeah.
Awesome. Jason?
Well, it's a first read for me, so that's why I don't know the Black Cat's an A-list hero yet, I guess. We're still getting to know her, so first read.
First read for Jason. Delvin, is it a first read or reread?
First read for me, Pat.
It is a first read for me as well, so you know what that means. Three cool chumps. Three chumps again. Or three cool guys.
I just keep leaving me out. I just keep leaving me out. Like, wow.
No, I just got to have some fun here with Dave. Dave, I love you. We have a taco emporium, and all that stuff that we do together.
Oh, I know. Pants, sir.
Yep.
Pants.
Yep. Swim trunks, all that. Swim caps, everything. We go back, way back. Speaking about going back, let's go ahead and get into some high, lows, or what does. And Dave, you can start us off. Do you have a high, low, or a what the?
I've got a high, and I mean it's going to sound weird, but it's okay. It's my high. I'm already been ostracized from this podcast enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw myself on out in the alley a little further. My high is actually Jean DeWolf is in this title. I was always a fan of Jean DeWolf. I liked it when she was in there. No spoilers for what her future holds, but I was always a big fan of her character. She was in a lot of Amazing Spider-Man, and she crossed over into some Spectacular. Was a big fan of her, so I was glad to see her show up in this book. I hadn't read it in a long time, so it was a nice reread.
So I was kind of wondering that with her. This is the first time we're actually kind of seeing her in Amazing Spider-Man.
Correct.
And I'm like, that name sounds familiar. And she's got like a weird vehicle that she's using, and Spider-Man seems to kind of have some sort of a relationship or at least a knowledge of her. So I really don't know much about her.
I could be completely wrong, but I think she was a kind of a mainstay over in or back when they called it Peter Parker to Spectacular Spider-Man, because I read it when I was a little chump. I'm a big chump now, obviously, as you said earlier. So when I was a little chump. In the 200s of Amazing is where I read the most, but I had a lot of Spectacular Spider-Man. Not real sure how that happened. I lived in the middle of nowhere, and they came in the mail in the little cardboard thing, little paper book. Okay. That's how we got them. We didn't have any stores where I lived, but yeah. So she's been around for a little bit, and I think most of her time was over in Spectacular. Delvin would probably know better than me, but I do remember her, and she's got a storyline coming up, and I'm pretty sure her storyline gets serious in Amazing. Delvin, am I right?
I can't remember where that storyline gets serious. I know what happens to Jean DeWolf. I will not. It's. I think it's years from now.
It's a little ways.
Was that during the Sin Eater saga that we're thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I know what happens to her too.
Yeah. So, but I'm pretty sure that's Amazing. But I'm 90% sure she got her start in Peter Parker.
Okay.
But I was always liked her character. I thought she was good people.
Well, that's good because someone that as I'm going through this too, I haven't read a lot of these as well. So getting to figure out and hear that there's more going to happen. So this is more character and development that's happening. you got me even more intrigued now on that particular character. Thank you, Dave. Let's go to Jason. High, low, or what the?
I'm going to give it a high to one of the things that really makes Spider-Man quite unique from the other Marvel heroes, or any of the superheroes for that matter. And that's just him having to deal with everyday little things in life. I'm sure each of us can think of a time coming home and you're like, man, I should cut the lawn, or I should finish edging the driveway, and I'm just so tired. And there's the scene in there where he comes back and his skylight's all creaky, and he keeps telling himself, I'm going to oil that thing one day, but not today. I'm just beat. And it's just little things like that really grab hold of me and just say, like this guy is a lunch pail superhero, man. He is out there 9 to 5 every day, rain or shine, doing his job, coming back. He's got chores piling up around the house. The man doesn't even have any clean clothes to change into at the end of the day. And I just really enjoyed that element in the book. Just, he's out there putting it on the line every day, coming back, and just doesn't even have time sometimes to take care of himself. And that's something that resonates, I think, with the working person in all of us.
I agree with you, sir. I agree 100%. I do think currently, and maybe in the last few years, they've kind of overdid the haplessness of Peter Parker. But back in these particular issues, I think they hit it. It was perfect the way they hit it. It just made you sympathize with him, but at the same time, it wasn't just totally beating you over the head with what a poor sap he was. But I agree 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that too when reading through him. Like, oh man, this guy, he's hungry. He can't even remember that he doesn't have any food when he comes home. And he's like, oh, man, I got to do my laundry. So then he got to go and, gets a quarter pounder with cheese and a shake and a shake, and just watching his clothes tumble around. And like, yeah, hey, like you guys said, we've been there before. We've all had those kind of those days then, and still yet sometimes this year or whatever, it's like, oh, I got
to me home. The worst is when I do my bedding in the morning, and then I forget, or I get in a hurry and I don't put it together, and I go to work, and then I come back and do all my chores, and I'm ready to go to bed at night, and I realize I didn't put my sheets on my bed.
Oh yeah, that is the worst. Then you're like, oh man, I just want to fall asleep and I can't. I got to put that. Oh, poor Peter. Delvin, high, low, or what the?
We'll go with high. Just there's some continuity in the book. Like
there is
something that happened from last issue carried on to this issue. Like what? There's a writer and an editor, and they're putting together a story. What?
And they picked up a thread from several issues back too, so they're like knitting stuff together.
My birthday, like what is going on here? Like, I mean, so that left me very pleased. Just like, hey, this is cool. It looks like they're building towards something again, and they come back with a character who was popular, and I even liked the explanation that they gave to where, because like I remember mentioning the last time Black Cat appeared in the book, I was like, ugh, I don't like that she's being like Spider-Man's groupie like she was. Yeah. And then I don't know whether that was the direction they were taking her and they decided to reverse it or not, but I definitely love her. Like I was faking. I'm not obsessed with the dude. Like, yeah, I like him a lot, but I'm not crazy. That was just easier to escape from here than it is from jail. And I'm like, I could buy that. I could buy that a lot. So lots of elements that like you could tell me that the writer and the editor of the book right now are paying attention and things are actually starting to move forward. And Amazing Spider-Man, again, it did not feel stuck in the mud.
Well, Delvin, those are the plans of an A-list villain or an A-list character. Mm-hmm. That is the plan. That is how an A-list character acts right there.
I agree.
I was thinking kind of on the same lines that I liked how this issue, there was a lot of involvement, like you said, going back to some older callbacks, some other newer character development going on, but you also get them talking about what Peter Parker was doing in between a few days, and he was helping somebody else on a team up issue, and they do that callback to another, not only in the Amazing Spider-Man, but into another series that you should be following as well too. And I like that. I like that when you get that synergy and makes me want to go and read that other issue. Go, yeah, what was he doing? And just building that bigger universe that they're all about here. So I really enjoyed that part of this.
I agree. I missed that too. Yeah.
I mean, we had it for a little while and then went away. We had some one-offs, things like going that. But like Delvin said, I'm glad to see this come back. And to where this issue left off, I want to know what's going to happen next. And looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get into round 2. Dave, do you got another high, low, or a what the?
I do. And like my first one, this is going to be a little bit off the beaten path. I left the juicy stuff for the professionals, which are you three guys. So I'm going off the beaten path. This is a what the? And if we dial it back to when Peter's in the laundromat and he starts chatting up the young lady right there, and we see that he's got absolutely no game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, nothing.
No
like
riz.
No riz, no vibe, no nothing.
No aura.
No nothing. So nothing. So then you scratch your head and you go, look at the ladies this guy was able to pull down, like Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Felicia Hardy, Betty Bryant. Like just off the top of the head, he's always had a female interest, and it begs the question: if that's his game, how did he do that? So that's my what the.
Oh, that's a good what the.
I think abs. Abs cover a lot, like a girl's like, oh my God, you're boring, you have no sense of humor, and you're broke. Like, but I got abs.
I got abs because I can't eat.
I'm going to go to the, I was going to say he can't eat. I guess I better, can I pause and get to the gym? I'll be back.
Oh, maybe you bring up a good point there, Dave, about Spider-Man and that. And I was wondering who that girl was that he was with or that he was talking to. I'm like, is she somebody? Because she just gave him like a blank stare.
That not a word, man.
Yeah.
Was that not Black Cat?
No.
No, that wasn't Black Cat. Delvin, in your defense, I had to read it again. I thought, is she at the same laundromat? But it was a different girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish they'd have made this one blonde or something, though, because it messed me up for a second, too. I was like, wait a minute. That can't be right.
That's what I thought when I first read it, too. I thought they were just both in the same, which would have been cool.
Would have been cool. Yeah.
Storytelling element. But Felicia Hardy, like that apartment they have their own laundry facility in the apartment. She ain't going to a laundromat.
Yeah, she's not going to the laundromat. and they do not live in the same neighborhood, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I was wondering that, too. I was like, oh, man, am I getting duped here? As Elbert Alver said in the chat that I got duped, and I did. I was like you guys. I'm like, is that Felicia? Is that not Felicia? I'm like, well, I don't know. So I said, just bye. And I moved on. But I thought it was I'm like, is she going to come back? You know how I'm always now in these Spider-Man books looking for things that they're starting to hopefully, put in to come back to stories and just the slow character buildups that they have. So obviously, I don't think you guys know what's happening either. So. And Dave, to your point of us being professionals, we're just 3 cool guys. That's all we are. Just 3 cool guys.
I'm striving every day for excellence, sir. Just striving for excellence.
Jason, do you got a high, low, or what the?
I'm going to go with another what the, and I believe it's one I brought up before. I'll bring it up again. I still don't understand how Felicia Hardy makes those bad luck moments occur, like the fire escape collapsing and almost falling on Spider-Man. Like, how does she do that? My theory is that she has kind of like a reverse Gambit, where Gambit can make lucky things happen to himself. Okay. Like maybe she's has some sort of superpower where she can make unlucky things happen to an antagonist. I don't know, but
that's ridiculous. Why would you even think such a thing? That's so dumb.
So can we spoil? Can we have a spoiler conversation? Is that cool, or can we not?
Please do. Yeah.
So I'm a little. So it's been a long time since I read these, but there's a point that it comes out that Kingpin actually gave her bad luck powers, but I didn't think that happened until way later on. So now, like when I got through reading this the other day, I was like, man, I got to go figure that out because it's driving me nuts. Because I mean, somebody in the chat probably knows better than I do, but I know Kingpin, and it becomes a story element because she doesn't tell Peter, and they're in a relationship and they're fighting crime together, blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't tell him that the Kingpin is where she got these powers from. But I thought that was much later. I didn't know that was now. I thought it would happen later on. So, Delvin, do you know? Delvin, I bet you know.
Well, I am mostly agreeing with you, and looks like the comments are mostly agreeing with you too. Auburn Elvis added the bad luck moments were tricks early on. A few years later, Kingpin sent her to a doctor to give her powers. For the most part, Auburn Elvis agrees with you. Matt Passo says she's the anti-long shot. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Long shot, not Gambit. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
We knew what you meant. That's okay.
So now you see I was ribbing you, Jason. I was more than content to let it linger for a couple of years.
I'm just like, I was going to be really impressed if she was MacGyvering all these traps like beforehand for all these events and things.
And I thought she was kind of figuring all this out. I mean, this is what our maybe 4th time seeing her in the issues. So figuring out what her thing was on this. I was trying to figure that out and if that was her skills or not. Delvin, do you have a high-low or what the?
Well, we haven't talked about the fight. I liked the setup of the fight. Actually, I've already talked about some of the specifics of the issue, but I'll talk a little bit more about like the issue and the story itself. It almost, and maybe I've just brought to my mind because I just happened to be sitting there watching a little cable TV and zoned out on a couple of episodes of Castle, but it reminded me a little bit of Castle. It was kind of, a little bit back and forth of, interplay between both of the main characters of the book, sort of like Spidey was like, I kind of have a thing for her, but she's a bad guy and I can't have a thing for the bad guy. And Felicia was like, oh yeah, I absolutely have a thing for him. They're looking for each other. Then they got that swashbuckling adventure. And that fight at the end, it was a pretty good fight. Of where, the setup was good with the costume party, and then it just devolved into madness. And then after all of the madness, then Black Cat kind of proved herself and said, hey, I meant what I said. Not only did I say I was going to go straight, but then I just basically got you into this gangster party and got you to like send all of these bad guys to jail. So did I prove myself or not? And Spidey was like, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at your butt. And then he kissed her. So, it was good. I appreciated the whole setup of the story. It was really worth it.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That was definitely a cool setup that was happening. And the fight, it was all going down pretty good. Now I'm thinking, man, I'd like to see these two fight together as a team, and play off of each other once they figure out and don't get in each other's way, I guess, or at least she doesn't get in Peter's way of, kind of coming down on him. But then he made good sense. Is like, I had to do that to kind of stop her from being reckless. So then I could then, get her under control and then also take control of the whole situation as well. This was a really good issue. And I think it just kept me turning the page and continuing to want more out of this.
Yeah, I love the note, too, at the end is like, courtesy of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and Black Cat. It's like, they're a couple. Like, all they need is like some clever couple name like Spidey Cat or something like that, Black Spider or something like that. And a black man wouldn't work,
That'd be cultural appropriation at that point, I think.
Yeah, that'd be, I'm interested to see where this is definitely going with those two. And you know what? It's a good thing. I was really happy, with Peter and his love life as of the issues we have recently read. I think seeing him kind of get a girl now, and yeah, she a little cray here and there, but you know what? That's all right. If he's
apparently sometimes you need a crazy one.
Yeah, so he's got someone he can go out and play with. They can be in a costume and they can have fun. So interesting, very interesting. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into some silly Spidey moments on this issue. And we'll start with Dave. Do you have a silly? Oh, wait. You know what? I did want to bring something up. Oh, before we go, Dave, you remembered my memory on this one because I know how much a huge Star Wars fan you are. That I really liked when Peter is dressed as the Jawa.
Why'd you take my thing, man? That was my silly Spidey moment.
Oh, was it? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's my silly Spidey moment. I was like, I went through that thing a couple times. I was like, I got to find a silly Spidey moment. And I go, oh my, he's dressed as the Jawa. And I mean, let's do a little foreshadowing here. Mm-hmm. The Jawa is going to have a connection with the latter part of this episode. I don't know if y'all know what I'm talking about, but
yeah, I know. Well, that's what I was going to bring
there's
up.
There's going to be a connection. There's going to be a huge connection. But that my silly Spider moment was him as a Jawa. I actually quite enjoyed that. And it also made sense because he couldn't come as Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So he had to come as Spider-Man, and he had to have something that would cover up his Spider-Man costume. So that was a silly Spidey moment. I thought it was great. And then he made jokes about it and everything. So yeah, that's my silly Spidey. Thanks for almost ruining it, Pat. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm sorry, Dave. I thought you would have caught on that one earlier on. So I underestimated you.
As you often
shouldn't be done. That shouldn't be done.
No, you're good. But that was my moment for real.
Okay, no, that's a good one. That was a fun one. I actually had to go back and look at the first page when you see the Jawa. Oh yeah, there it is. And then continue on reading. So it was a good moment there. And you can definitely tell what era we are in when this issue came out. Let's go ahead and then go to Silly Spidey for you, Jason.
Well, I will say before I get into my Silly Spidey moment, I got a little bit duped by that Jawa costume because I was looking at all the characters. I was like, oh, there's a Jawa there. That's cool. I had no idea that it was Spider-Man inside the Jawa costume until he revealed himself.
They kind of had you fooled with the panel before it where you see like Hulk and Captain America and some of the other characters. And you're like, oh, okay, it's just the time of the era there. But
yeah. But I was thinking, this is when this came out late 81. That would have been around Empire Strikes Back time. So Star Wars is, big again. So, but anywho, yeah, I like your guys' pick. I like your pick there, Dave. My pick is going to be the one where we see the Daily Bugle truck with the big Spider-Man menace painted on the side. I don't know why. That cracks me up. I mean, J. Jonah Jameson is just all in on his hate for Spider-Man. Like he's painting it on the sides of his trucks and everything else. And it just serves as a funny little reminder as big and deep and scary as Spider-Man's rogue gallery is. Nothing will beat the menace of J. Jonah Jameson.
Can you imagine the money that's like, that went into second editions just to hate on Spider-Man, bulletin boards that's like, oh, J. Jonah Jameson, Spider-Man sucks. Just tens and hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, I can imagine that phone call. And how many trucks, Mr. Jameson? All of them. Got it. Okay.
He probably also called the skywriting guy, but he was busy doing Black Cat's message. So,
yeah. Oh, man, that is a good one. Delvin, do you have a silly Spidey?
Well, it was also funny that Felicia, somehow, as much as she loves her man Spidey, couldn't recognize that, it was just some average, middle-aged mobster who was posing as Spidey, and he takes off the mask. Okay.
That was funny too.
Yeah, it's I can see how you could get fooled by the mask, maybe. But if you looked maybe 2 seconds to the side, it's wait a minute.
You could have seen some rolls on the,
Right. He can't do whatever a spider can on that one. I just don't think he that dude would be making that spandex work. That's what I'm saying here.
I like when his wife came and busted him. He was like, I didn't have my glasses on, baby. I couldn't tell.
I did think that was. I didn't have my glasses on.
That was good. That was real good. She called him a worm.
Yeah, there are some good moments in here. I'm gonna go with, you guys know, my funnest ones that I like, and just when the head kind of gangster guy kind of goes after Felicia and he grabs her by the hand, and then Spider-Man then puts his hand on the gangster's hand and just says, "We all make mistakes, Chuckles." And he gives him the old chuckles, and I like it in this one. And there's a good one coming, another fun one in the X-Men that we're going to read, that they get a Bunky one in there too. So I got a Chuckles and a Bunky in reading these two. So my life is fun and fulfilled for this episode.
It's a good Pat day.
It is.
Pat, I just want you to know that I saw the Chuckles and I
saved it for me.
Specifically didn't mention it just for you.
All right. I appreciate that. See, we know each other too well now. Let's go ahead and get into the ratings on this. Again, it is a 1 through 5 rating. 5 is you loved it. It tickled your tummy feathers. 4, you really liked it. 3, you liked it. 2, you didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It ruffled your tummy feathers.
I did that for Dave.
Dave, 1 through 5, how would you rate this issue?
You know, as much as I love having my tummy feathers tickled, this one is going to be a 4 for me. I really liked it. I like where it's going. Again, I said it earlier, like I like the 200s. You see it. There's a good story building, and you get some really good chunks of continuity. And I like this one, and it's got Jean in it. And it's got Black Cat, who is an A-lister, as we've already discussed and verified that she is an A-lister. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go 4 for this one. I really liked it. It doesn't tickle my tummy feathers, but I do really like the direction of the book. I enjoyed the story, had some good elements. Spider-Man was a Jawa. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat all those things, but that's where I'm going to land.
Not a bad score. Jason, will you see him at a 4 or go higher or lower?
I'm going to see Dave at a 4. I agree with everything he said. It was a fun little romp. Like Delvin mentioned earlier, it also managed to continue to tie in other storylines. It opened us at the mental institution with Fool Killer. I liked how it showed like a real compassionate side to the folks trying to take care of Fool Killer. And I liked how Felicia Hardy kind of used that compassion to escape. I didn't really like her fat shaming joke. That seemed unnecessary to write that little sign and humiliate that poor nurse. I didn't like that part. But the rest of the story unfolded. I liked kind of the chaotic chemistry between Spider-Man and Black Cat, and it ended in a cool little melee at a cool party. Who doesn't like that? So 4 from me.
Delvin, are you at a 4, higher or lower?
So both Matt Passo and Auburn Elvis give this book a 5. Matt says, I give this issue a 5. It had pretty much everything I love in comics: continuity, humor, and action. And Auburn Elvis, while initially having it at a 4, changed it to a 5, just so he couldn't be lower than someone else. I'm not quite sure how that works, but hey, if it works for you, then it works for me. I'm at a 4 myself. I thought it was very good. As soon as I even opened it and saw Roger Stern was writing it, John Romita Jr. was on it, I already started to relax. And then I was already happy that Black Cat was coming back too, because I know that was a character. Well, I know she's a character that still is around in Amazing Spider-Man today. So there's that. You got a mainstay that's coming to the book, but they're just developing her. And it's interesting just to see how their relationship started forming. Throughout the years, he will be in and out of relationships with Black Cat. But with that, it's never the same. It always has some other different element to it. And she never stays around super long, but I'm sure Pete's always glad that she's there. So I appreciated this continuation of the Black Cat's origin story. And I appreciate the continuity in art as well. Looking forward to the next issue. It's a 4 for me.
All right. That is a good explanation of why you're at a 4. And I do agree with you that it is really refreshing and neat to see this origin, her character development and changes that she's going through and how Peter is interacting with her. I really like that in reading this. I'm at a high 4. I want to hit the 5, but there's a few things that, it didn't do too well with me, but I definitely am at a high 4. So that puts us all at a boom, shakalaka, boom, 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 akalaka, boom, 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 akalaka, boom, boom. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody, we're going to rate this a 4. Woo, woo.
So 4 cool guys.
4 cool guys.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Woo! Dave, for you, it is 4 cool guys.
Real quick, before we go to our next segment, I wanted to read a comment from Vinkman, who is a first-time visitor, I believe, to our live chat. Welcome, Vinkman. And he says, silly Spidey moment, Black Cat said that there weren't any interesting movies playing. In December 1981, you had a few infamous films like Heartbeeps with Andy Kaufman and Neighbors with John Belushi. Never heard of either one of those. So
I've heard of Neighbors. Okay.
Yep. But it definitely speaks to Mr. Vinkman's point there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Vinkman, for joining us, and thank you for their Spidey thoughts.
So Vinkman, like Dr. Vinkman from Ghostbusters?
That is it.
That's it.
That's a great name.
Yep. VENK-MAN.
It's a great name.
All right. Well, now that we've got the ratings out of the way, let's go ahead and go into a segment called Karma Count. And that is with our very own Patreon member, Albert and Elvis, has provided some karma count thoughts on this issue. But before we do that, it's time for us to play How Close of a Karma Can We Get? And we will go with Dave. Do you have your thoughts on a karma count for this issue?
I forgot to think about that, to be honest with you. I'm going to go 2.
2 karma points? Okay.
I'm going to go 2.
All right. Dave's setting it at 2. Jason, where are you at on karma count?
Well, to begin with, Black Cat escapes. I don't think that's Spider-Man's fault, though. Maybe it was his fault for being suckered into putting her into a mental facility as opposed to jail where she obviously belonged. But we won't hold that against him. He tracks her down. She doesn't really ever pay her debt that she owes society, and Spider-Man makes that judgment based out of he's letting his little Spider-Man do the talking, I think, on this one. So I'm going to give him like a -10 for that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, really the fate's in his hands, like she has a debt to pay to society, and he even says at the beginning, Jared's putting in 35. Okay, I think 35 might be a bit high. I mean, he does break up he does net a good haul of bad guys.
I was giving him credit for breaking up the bad guy party.
35 sounds about right. I'm gonna go with 40 because at the end, maybe he kind of turns Black Cat to good. I don't know. I'll say 40.
Okay.
Took me a while to get there.
It did. Delvin?
What? No, Jason, we didn't notice. Matt Passo gave it 60. And I'm kind of agreeing with Matt. I think it's going to be kind of high. Like, they put a bunch of bad guys in jail. Wasn't a ton of crazy property damage. Pete even did some chores, and then he also did a stint at Empire State as the teacher's assistant. Yeah. So you know what? I'll go even higher. I'll say 65.
Ooh, Della's at 65. Now you guys got me thinking. I'm gonna go. Jared says 35. All right.
Well, I'm thinking 50. I didn't do my homework on this.
I don't know. Hey, you may win. If it's below 35, you could be the winner, Dave. I'm going 50. And with that, let's go ahead and find out where Albert Elvis rated this on the karma count.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
Hello, Crusaders. This is Auburn Elvis. Have you ever wondered if superheroes can improve their strength by working out? Well, according to the 1984 Marvel superhero role-playing game, they can, but it ain't easy. In the game, heroes gain and lose karma points for how heroic their actions are. Karma can be saved up over time and spent to improve a hero's ability scores. Improving an ability costs 10 times his current score, so if Spider-Man wanted to improve his strength of a 40 to a 41, it would cost him 400 karma points. And to give you an idea of how long it would take Spidey to earn that much karma, here's the karma count from his actions in this issue. This issue begins with Spidey incensed that the Black Cat wasn't credited with last issue's crime lord beatdown. He confronts Captain Jean DeWolf about it, and she explains that the Black Cat is trouble with a capital T. Spidey rebuffs her logic at the time, but later reconsiders. This leads our hero to recall the failures of his most recent relationships. And I just have to say, his perspective on Deb Whitman is so hilariously off base, I'm going to hit him up with another 5-point karma deduction for blaming her for the failure of that relationship. Get a clue, Peter. So, fresh off that pity party, he decides to pay Felicia a visit, and after she totally promises not to do the heist that she was just planning to do that night, he accepts her at her word and goes about his day, which includes showing up on campus a few hours before a major paper is done. But since he's so at ease with how well Felicia took his ultimatum, he actually breezes through finishing the paper and turns it in on time. 5 karma point bonus, Peter. That night, Spidey shows up at the building where Felicia had been planning to burglarize and catches her red-handed. She says, "Oopsies, forgivesies?" And like an idiot, he agrees. I'm not going to deduct karma for that, but boy, I really want to. When replacing the stolen statue, Black Cat double-crosses Spidey. The statue's owner, a very frizzy-haired mob boss, shows up and does not care for Spidey's offer of letting bygones be bygones. Next thing you know, machine guns are popping up out of the walls, blowing that guy's own place all to heck, and Spidey actually gets shot in the leg. The Black Cat jets, leaving Pegleg to take down all the mobsters by himself. He does, and gets 20 karma for saving the Black Cat, but 0 for taking down the criminals since they're probably not going to get arrested. Also, she dropped the statue before the fight, so Spidey technically prevented her from stealing it, and that's another 10 karma for him. Black Cat tries to escape, but Spidey pursues her. She steals a motorcycle, but Spidey retrieves it. 10 more karma. Her dash for the piers is stopped as Spidey webs her up, but refusing capture, Black Cat rolls into the murky water. Spider-Man leaps in to save her, but after 10 minutes of searching, the realization that he won't be getting any karma for her arrest slowly sinks in. A heartbroken Spidey climbs back onto the dock, where a waiting Jean DeWolf has his leg bandaged as she tries her best not to say "I told you so." She leaves Spidey to have a nice little moment where he throws away the amnesty papers that Jean DeWolf had gotten the DA to agree to, and the issue ends with Webhead mourning the loss of yet another love and taking a 5-point karma deduction for littering. So after taking a bullet in the leg and losing his girl, Spidey ends up with 40 karma. If he endured this much misery just 9 more times, he'd have enough karma to raise his strength from a 40 to a 41. I'm Auburn Elvis. Thank you very much for listening to this Karma Count. Play us some sorrowful funeral music, Joe November.
I guess I'm your karma, and I love it. I can't get enough of it. There's nothing above it.
So you all keep telling me that she's an A-list villain, but she's an A-list villain that's not doing her time, but that's okay for karma.
How often does Catwoman do her time?
What's that?
How often does Batman let Catwoman go?
Yeah, how often does Batman let Catwoman go?
We're not measuring Batman's karma count, are we?
I think that Auburn Elvis's ruling was fair. It was just, and also I won.
Ruling on the field stands. Karma.
Touchdown, Delvin!
Oh man, I'm still trying to learn all this karma count stuff. So I think I got closer to it, at least with the 50. But there were some good points that he had there.
I mean, you're close, Pat. Just
not a winner. Yeah, you know, I'm not good at the karma count, but I am a good Bond trivia guy. I know my Bond stuff.
Champion.
And with that, let's go ahead and bring this part to an end of a close before Devil can say anything else. If you got a comment or a question, send us an email at contact@longboxcrusade.com or make a comment on the Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook page. We will be right back.
Hello, soldiers. I'm Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, codenamed Death Probe, and I'm here to give you your orders to join me and my elite podcasting squad for G.I. Joe Chronicles. Who makes up this elite squad, you may ask? It starts with my right-hand man, Pat Sampson. Tell him your codename and specialty, Pat.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. My codename is DJ Christados, and on G.I. Joe Chronicles, I specialize in G.I. Joe comic books, Marvel, Devil's Due, IDW. We cover them all. But there's so much more in the G.I. Joe Chronicles universe, and that's where our first sergeant comes in. He's Jim Mill. Sound off with your codename and specialty, Jim.
My specialty is everything else G.I. Joe. I'm going to talk about some comics too, but I'm also going to look at the G.I. Joe property from lots of different angles, including, but not limited to, the toys, cartoon, puzzles, train sets, bed sheets, Halloween costumes, you name it, and there's probably a Joe version of it, and I'm going to let you know it exists.
You forgot to tell the troops your codename.
Oh yeah, codename Weasel Skull.
I don't think you can have that one. I think it's taken.
Dang. How about codename Weasel Skull?
Strangely enough, that's also taken.
Orsted.
Oh, that's like a beautiful name, man. We could be cosmically...
Okay, never mind. I got it. Codename Dark Web.
No.
Pop Pop Hiss?
No.
Pimp Destro?
No.
Hot Thing?
No.
While my battle buddies get that ironed out, I invite you to join us for G.I. Joe Chronicles. You can listen to it on its own solo feed wherever podcasts are found, or catch it under the LONGBOX Crusade Network umbrella. We look forward to seeing you at Fort Longbox.
Yo, Joe. Okay, how about Jim the Joe Junkie?
Maybe. Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the second featured comic for this episode, which is determined by our Crusader Club members. Club members get to vote on this segment using the online poll only available on the LONGBOX Crusade page at patreon.com. As always, we want to thank our Crusader Club members for voting to help determine the programming for this show. If you want to get in on the voting and all of the amazing benefits of being a Crusaders Club member, just head on over to patreon.com and search for LONGBOX Crusade. You can join us for as little as $1 a month and help determine what each episode's second feature will be. For this episode, the Crusader Club members selected Uncanny X-Men number 155. The credits for this issue are provided again by Mike's Amazing World of Comics website. Publisher was Marvel. It's got a cover date of March 1982. But its on sale date was December 8th, 1981. Cover price is 60 cents. Editor was Luis Simonson. Writer is Chris S. Claremont.
Esquire. There we go.
Thank you. Penciler is Dave Cockrum. Inker is Bob Wycheck. Letters go to Joseph Rosen. And the Color Me Bad colorist is Glennis Wee.
Yeah, Glennis.
All right. We got some Glennis. Love me some Glennis. You can find this reprinted in X-Men Classic 59 or the Essential X-Men Volume 3 trade paperback, or also under the Marvel Masterworks Volume 150, which covers the Uncanny X-Men Volume 7, or you can find it on Uncanny X-Men Omnibus Volume 3. Let's go ahead and get into a cover synopsis, brought to you by Jason via the words of Jared.
So Jared says, the Marvel Comics banner is orange with darkness black letters. Bursting out of the light blue corner box is some new corner box art. The team is bursting into action. Who's in this corner box burst, you may ask? Nightcrawler, Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, and Cyclops. Makes me wish I had more hands so I could give it 4 thumbs up. The Uncanny X-Men logo is yellow with red highlights. Bang, bang! The main action is a shocking affair. Front and center, we have Cyclops cradling the seemingly lifeless body of Colossus. They should have never gave Colossus damage. Colossus is in human form and bleeding from inside his chest. In the background, we see the grieving crew of Corsair, Tigra, Wolverine, and Storm. Whoever did this was cold-blooded.
All right. Thank you, Jason and Jarrett, for that cover synopsis. I am at a loss for his references in it.
I think these are all jokes about Dave Chappelle and his skits he did with Charlie Murphy. The Charlie Murphy skits, I think.
I couldn't figure this one out.
If only Delvin was with us at this moment to tell us.
Well, Jared's in the chat. He can throw it in there and say if we're close.
Yeah.
Charlie Murphy jokes? Is that what we're doing?
Jason got it.
Oh, I got it. All right.
Hey, Jason got it. Hey. All right. Well, with that cover description out of the way, let's go ahead and get to some quick cover thoughts. Dave, what are your thoughts on this cover?
I think it's a good looking cover. I'm going to go ahead and be front and center. Seeing how Yard Sale's not with us, I'll be playing the role of him when it comes to Uncanny X-Men. I know his love of the series is legendary. And unfortunately, me and him do agree on some of the things, but I do think the art is great. I like the cover a lot. I like the Storm, the way she's reacting. Wolverine's got his normal look on. And I like the perspective of it. I like the colors. Everybody's in their classic uniform. So from a cover standpoint, I think it's good. And I think it also does a really good job of letting us know what's going on in the issue.
Very well. Good take on that. And I appreciate you stepping in for Jarrett and his love for the X-Men, which is legendary. As you said, it is a legendary love for the X-Men. Some might say it's been legendary and he's still doing it that long, is his love. With that,
Legends never quit.
Legends never quit. That's true.
Quit.
That's true. Jason, what's your thoughts on the cover?
Largely mirrors Dave. Dave Cockrum does a really good job showing emotion on this cover. You know, it's not like a big action-packed cover. What we're really seeing is the after effects of the action on the interiors of the book. Just the Jean holding her face, and then having both. Storm holding her face, and Cyclops also being on the cover there. I really like that, and I do like that exploding action corner box too. That is really really cool.
I like that.
So
That's
a
cool.
lot to like in this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on the corner box. I was like, this is really different and really exciting to see. Instead of just the heads, you get to see some of them kind of just exploding out like that. And there's no shame, especially with Storm, when she's got her arm way out there like that, and it's just kind of covering over the top of the X. This would be a cool T-shirt to have. You know that we have like the box art corner box that we have. That'd be cool.
Yeah, when you got an exploding Cockrum, man, that's great. You got good stuff going on.
Something's happening, and it's exciting, very exciting to be happening at that point. I'll agree with Dave on this that the characters were very well drawn. The colors are just right, I think, and I think it just puts the focus on Colossus and what is happening to him. Delvin, let's go to you. What's your thoughts on the cover?
I actually am in a minority here. Like I saw the corner box, was like, it's too crowded. It needs to fit into. It needs to fit into the corner. What? It's breaking the rules. Don't break my rules. Different strokes for different
I guess so.
I guess. Like, and pretty much anyone in the comments was like, I like it. And y'all were like, I like it. And I was like, no, get back in the cover box. Give me the heads. I don't know. But, I mean, that's sad. Like, I mean, that is something different I can appreciate. I shouldn't say I don't like it, but I would definitely say it just wasn't something I was used to. The cover itself, the colors pop more than anything. And given that we already had like a sort of tragic book in 50, and then like with 51 and 52, we already had like some major action going on. They're not taking any breaks here where we're already seeing someone falling in battle with Colossus. I'm like, goodness. Okay. So the only thing that I would have done to make the cover better, like I understand that it's supposed to be a fallen Peter Rasputin. Got it. He would look better as Colossus on this cover.
Yeah.
And you would just have to just figure out like why in the heck or how in the heck could something even as powerful, what powerhouse took out Colossus? Because that takes some very, very strong individual or team to do that. I think that would have made it pop just a little bit more. Not a bad cover. You're never going to hear me criticize. This is Dave Cockrum, correct?
It is.
It is.
Yeah, you're not going to hear me ever.
It's a solid Dave Cockrum. Yep.
It's solid Dave Cockrum cover, with a little bit oozing out of the corner box there. All right. Might need to get that checked out. Regardless, cover, not bad.
I can see where you're coming from on that, Delvin. But I seen with Colossus just the way him not being armored up like he should be. I think that does make a difference. With that, let's go ahead and get into the cover ratings. As a reminder, it is a 1 through 5 ratings that we do. And 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, you just liked it. It's it's okay. It's a decent cover. 2, you didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. Thank you, Delvin, for your baby. With that,
the one guy with no kids making the baby sound. That's hilarious.
I was impressed with that. I was like, wow, Delvin.
That's what it sounds like at 2 a.m. in the morning for sure.
That's Delvin crying. He wakes up out of a sweat and goes, why is it out of the corner box? You're out of the lines. Wah!
Step 1, get yourself a corner box. Step 2, put your heroes in the corner box.
All right, let's go to Dave.
All right. As I'm playing my role as yard sale, I'm trying to think what would yard sale say. I don't know what he would say, but I know what I would say. Dave Cockrum gets an automatic 3. I think we can kind of agree on that. He pretty much gets an automatic 3 no matter what you do. I do like the elements of the characters, what they got going on, the colors. I do like and I know this may sound trivial for some, but it drives me nuts when the cover has absolutely nothing to do with the issue. And that happens a lot, especially in these days. I like for it to be relative to what's going on inside the book. So I'm going to go a 4. I liked it. It didn't give me a ring to swing on, but I did really like it.
All right. You found something to like about it. Jason, you going to match him? Or go?
Yeah, I'm right with Dave, and for a lot of the same reasons. You know, when Cockrum's pencil touches a page, that's an automatic 3, pretty much. You know, that's in the bank. And like Dave, I really appreciate it when the cover both grabs your attention and says, "Oh," makes you want to pick it up and buy it, and when the interiors deliver what the cover advertises. And this does both of those things. So 4 from me. And I like the exploding corner.
Delvin.
Looking at the credits, Auburn Elvis gave the cover a strong 3, and I'm with him on that. I don't want to give it a 4. I'm not crazy about it, but it's Dave Cockrum, and I don't think it's possible for Dave Cockrum to draw a bad cover. I simply don't. He's earned that respect. So it's at a strong 3 for me.
At a strong 3 for you. Looking in the chat as Jared joins us, Jared does give it a solid 4 for that cover. So
that's 3 cool guys. Just FYI, for count Jared.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Dave? I'm going to make it 4 cool guys. 4 cool guys. And 1 3 chump at the 3. But I think it deserves a 4. I like the pencils, the ink, and as you said, Dave, it does give a little bit something about what's happening in this issue. So hats off to them for kind of putting a little bit of it together like that. With that, let's go ahead and get into the story synopsis. And that is brought to you by Jason.
The title is First Blood. Deathbird and renegade elements of the Shi'ar Empire have teamed up with the Brood to kidnap Lilandra and have brought their war to Earth. Well, if it's a war they want, the X-Men and Corsair will give them a war they won't believe. Looking for help from their allies, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, our intrepid band of mutants discover that sans Tigra, they are on their own. So essentially they're on their own. But that's okay. They are trained to operate behind enemy lines, to ignore weather, to ignore pain, to eat things that will make a billy goat puke, to kill, period. And killing they do, as our team is ambushed by Deathbird and Brood assassins. Wolverine, Cyclops, Tiger, and the team do what they do best. In the fray, Deathbird hides in a partially constructed building. Undeterred, Wolverine states, "Deathbird, I'm coming after you." In the battle's violent conclusion, Deathbird brings the building crashing down on our team and leaves Colossus mortally wounded. You know Expendable Colossus? What is the fate of Colossus? Can our heroes rescue Lilandra and save Earth from annihilation? All will be revealed. I really kind of needed Jared and Action Film Face-Off fans.
I'm just going to tell you, that is the best scene in First Blood. I mean, I know that's a great movie, but that Colonel Trotman scene is the best scene in the movie. Sorry.
There, you got it. Yeah. Dave got it.
I got it too as well. I was like, oh, he's doing that. Once I knew the title, I'm like, oh, he's going to do a Rambo. And then I heard a couple things, and I'm like, you got it.
God didn't make him. I did.
Oh, I should have used that one.
All right. Well, thank you, Jason.
Professor X could say that. God didn't make this team. I did.
Let's go ahead and get to the bric-a-brac for this issue. Is it a first read or a reread? Dave?
So this is a first read for me. Whether y'all want to know this or not, I do collect comics. I do have some X-Men, but I have a rule for myself that if I have a comic book, I have to read it. Like I can't. Okay. I don't just buy stuff just to collect. I have a real affinity for Jim Lee X-Men covers and Mark Sylvester X-Men covers and Dave Cockrum. So if I see them and they're reasonable, because I don't read them regularly, I do buy them and read them. Okay. But I've never read this one. I read this one digitally. I mean, I don't own this one. I never read it. So this was the first time for me. But I do like the cover. So I gave it a 4. So if I called it reasonable, I'd pick this one up.
All right. Well, it's cool to see how you kind of do your comic book collecting. Just like all of us either have some reason why we're out there collecting, and cool to see that what you do with yours. Let's go ahead and go to Jason. First read, reread.
This was a first read for me as well. I've got the opposite of Dave. I've been collecting these for a while. The Uncanny X-Men has been kind of a core staple of my collection, but I really started collecting around 180, 190 area. So this was a little bit before my time. So I picked this up at some point, threw it in the collection, had never read it till this moment.
All right, we're getting close. Delvin, first read or a reread?
First read for me, Pat.
What? It is a first read for me too, so you know what that means. Woo! It's a reading rainbow.
Reading rainbow.
Reading rainbow.
Oh, man, what a magical time. What a magical time. Let's go ahead and find out some high, lows, or what does. Dave, you got a high, low, or what the for the first round?
I got a high. So again, I full disclosure, like I was talking about how much I love that Amazing Spider-Man run. This is not really in my wheelhouse. I find it a bit. I don't know. It's just a lot. Like there's a lot with the aliens and the Shi'ar, and there's just a lot going on. But yeah. So I mean, I was actually surprised that Jason said he hadn't read this one. That kind of blew my mind. But anyway, so my high is the Charles Xavier flex when he's trying to get them to agree to what he wants to do. And he uses the line, he goes, well, I'm the Roy consort. And like, you got to do what I say. Like he didn't use his psychic powers. He didn't do anything. He literally used like the fact that he was, hooked up with the queen to get his way. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. Like, I mean, just the guy is known for getting what he wants by using his powers. I guess he used some other powers to get what he wants this way. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I like that too. I thought that was a good callback to what we have read previously with the X-Men and Charles getting that kind of position with the Lilandra. Yep. I tried to say that too fast and I'll get my tongue tied twisted. But that was a cool callback. Jason, high, low, or what the?
I'm going to give a high to Charles Xavier as well. I mean, we've all kind of poo-pooed on him a little bit when he does dumb things, but it seems like he did a couple smart things in this episode, one of which is selecting Nightcrawler and Kitty Pryde to stay behind as kind of hostages, I guess, on with the Shi'ar. So basically, he took two of the stealthiest folks around, and then he kind of data dumped into Kitty's mind. And she herself is very smart, very technically capable. So he left a powerful force back amidst the Shi'ar in case they need to take action in that arena as well, which I thought a lot of good foresight. And, he did it kind of roughly. He doesn't really have a light touch sometimes when it comes to to his team. He, just kind of force dumped all that knowledge into Kitty's brain. But I thought it was a real kind of good highlight of both kind of Charles Xavier's temperament and a little bit of good strategy on his part.
You bring up a good thought about Kitty as well, too, is that we start to see her somewhat mature a little bit. And with her getting this kind of big data dump that Charles gives her, she becomes a very formidable foe, someone to wit it wise, do you really want to go against her? She can be pretty crafty and I like seeing this beginning of her character development like that, where again, she may not be one mentally to mess with. And is it because maybe somewhat of a big data dump like this? Because that's a lot to put in a teenager's brain.
Yeah, there's a lot for her. Charles gave her a lot, I think especially when Charles was pressed, because this was kind of a desperate situation. He didn't want to necessarily have to leave anyone behind, but he did. So it's like, okay, then let me choose these two people and make the best out of a bad situation while we have to go back on Earth and figure out what's going on with Deathbird. So yeah, he relied on her. And then at this point, I'm pretty sure that most people know, I'm a big wrestling fan. I even got on a wrestling shirt. Now, Roman Reigns, if anyone cares. Now, the reason why I bring this up is a lot of times in wrestling, good wrestling stories anyway, they will story build. And so like a lot of times, like you might have a character that's like lesser tier, a wrestler that's lesser tier, and like then a wrestler that's greater tier. And it's like that lower tier wrestler is not going to beat a greater tier wrestler unless there was story that was built up, maybe some circumstances that happened, maybe the bigger guy was distracted, et cetera, et cetera. You get where I'm going with this. They've done that with Kitty very, very well. Like there was, I mean, they've already had, like, she did a solo adventure where like she took on like this ridiculously powerful alien. And in order to do so, she had to not only show as much of a mastery of her powers as she could. At one point, they said that she basically ran like a mile straight in like about 5.5 minutes flat, which is insanely fast. Like, so she has very good intelligence. She has very good conditioning. And so by the time that we've gotten through all of these beats with Kitty, this issue, it makes sense that she can handle a massive mind data dump and figure out what to do from there. Like, and none of that could have been possible if it weren't for the issues that preceded it.
I think that's really well said, Delvin.
Yeah.
Good story building throughout.
Yeah, world building, story building, character. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. Delvin, do you have any other high, low, or what there, or was that kind of what you wanted to state?
I'll add only just a little bit more. How about a joke? How about that? Like, even though it was done off panel, like Xavier also left Angel behind. Like, even though like they didn't want him to leave Angel behind, they're like, no, I insist. Like, Angel can stay up here. They're like, we don't want him. Like, I don't care. I don't want him anymore. Just leave him here. He's worthless. What does he do? Thank you. I'll be here the rest of the podcast.
You know, I am interested in seeing what the next issue will bring with Kitty and Nightcrawler. What damage and what are they going to do to the Shi'ar ship and everything in there to be done? So, you know, because they're going to somehow, backstab the X-Men in this one. And I like what Charles was doing. Let's go ahead and go to round 2. Dave, you got a high, low, or what the?
I got a what the. I'm sorry. This ties back into my thing. So I just thought it was hilarious when Kitty was doing the little dress thing where she was doing, and Nightcrawler was just appalled that they got all this stuff happening, and they got, obviously Xavier left them with this things to do, and she's playing with the clothes thing, and then of course she gets to Darth Vader, man. She gets to, and I just thought it was funny that it tied into the other book, and it was the same month, and then I got to looking, and I'm like, well, Empire came out in 80, right? So I mean, and Return doesn't come out till I think 83. So this is kind of in the middle. So it's kind of interesting. I just found it very fascinating that this was kind of at the end of 81. So that means they were working on it. You figure out the summer of 81, you guess they were writing it and drawing it. So it's still a year out from Empire and still a year and a half away from Return. But I guess that just shows you how big a deal Star Wars was, especially in this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, really cool.
And you know what's cool? And you just mentioned that it wasn't both. It just dawned on me that Star Wars comic was still out. And it's
Marvel was still
had it.
Marvel was still pumping them out, yeah. Because they did an Empire story and then they did a Return of the Jedi story. So yeah.
Yeah. So they were still putting it out, and Marvel had the license for these characters. So I thought that was really cool to see. Definitely.
I just wonder if it was a coincidence or something was going on. Like, it makes me want to go through and look at all the other March comics and see if anything. It's hard to believe it's a coincidence, but I just can't figure out why there would be. Again, it was way after Empire and way before Return. So it just I don't know. If anybody out there knows, let me know because I really want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead and put it in the comments. And we will definitely get that information to Dave as soon as we can. Jason, high, low, or what the?
I'll give another high to the injury / maybe death. Well, we know it's not death, but the injury to Colossus. Colossus, again, like basically he's taking shots that are meant for Charles Xavier in both cases. And and it shows the damage that he's taking and that he's willing to take for his team members, and it just kind of leaves it at a perfect cliffhanger there at the end, such a tragic cliffhanger, and the way that he goes down fighting, just really says a lot about the character and how much, we've all come to respect and appreciate him. So really good piece of writing there.
I agree. This was definitely a good issue to have. And, I'm going to take one before I go to Delvin, just something that Jared mentioned in the chat. He said it was a great book, a little extra as Claremont tends to do, but solid action. Plus, I like Tigra and good cliffhanger. And, Jared, I was glad to see Tigra show up too. I was hoping for the other half of the trim to show up, Bunny, because, Tigra and Bunny, because they like the boom.
That's just obscure, Pat.
Yeah, that went way too far. That was
way too far.
I mean, I'm with you. We like the cars.
Yeah, the cars that go
boom. I'm with you. Just know that. I don't know if anyone else is.
I'll have to go pull up my cassette that I have of that album.
I'm going to have to look that up on Spotify. I'm not going to go cassette digging, but I'll definitely go Spotify.
Dig that song. That's a cool song. A couple good songs off from Litrim. So anyway, now that I got my 80s obscure reference out of the way, Delvin, do you have a high, low, or what the?
We should at least mention Deathbird. It's a bad gal, isn't she? Like she
Angry Bird. She's Angry Bird.
Man, she is, and just like the Angry Bird, she's just destroying property everywhere. Like, she beat Colossus so bad, she beat his butt off panel. He was there. He was a little weakened, yes, but he was there to protect Xavier, and then came back, and there was a spike through his metal form. And even Wolverine, I don't think he's gonna make it. Like, good God, what did she do? And even before then, that had the acid thing. And I'm also interested to see, she's working with the Brood.
Yeah.
And I know who the Brood are, even though this is the first time that they've introduced them. I'm sure that people are like, what is this ugly bug insect-like thing? And what is this all about? And just looking at some of the covers to come, we're going to find out pretty soon about who the Brood are. And they are not to be trifled with. So the stakes are very high here. I was very impressed with just how pitched the battle was from really, once you got through the, I'd say, necessary exposition, they got all the characters together, explained why they were about to go back to Earth, why they had to do it. And then once the battle started, it was a pitched battle. They went at it. And Deathbird was a formidable foe. She was just giving everybody problems. So props to her.
Definitely. So my question, I guess my what the is this the Brood not the same alien that Kitty fought in the Christmas one?
No, it wasn't the Brood. I'm not Ngari. How the heck did I remember that? It was an Ngari alien, I believe, but not the Brood.
Okay. I was kind of confused. I'm like, well, and was it an earlier version that maybe they retconned later saying that it was, but
I'm glad I got this book when I did, because now it's it's a first appearance of anything and they charge, it's $300. Yeah. First appearance Brood, $300. First appearance of Charles Xavier's hat, $250.
So yeah, I was kind of questioning that. I want to also talk about, we didn't say much about it, is Scott's relationship with his dad. Kind of comes
pop.
Yep, pop, hiss.
I kind of thought that was a pretty interesting, that kind of led the book off when they were in the Blackbird coming along. And man, he was really grouchy. And I mean, he was giving Storm the business. She was trying to be a friend, and I get and she was trying to explain her side of it, and he just wasn't having it. He just really, really, I mean, I hate to call him that somebody turned him into a baby, but somebody turned him into a baby about that, especially when you figure, I mean, him and Storm have been through everything together, that he's supposed to know that she's got his best interest at heart, but he just was not having it. So that was an interesting moment. I'm glad to see toward the end, when he got the insight into his dad's mind, when his mind was changed and he was doing all that shouting about, you killed my wife, blah, blah. So he kind of realized, well, maybe this guy was telling me the truth. But yeah, I'm glad somebody brought that up. That was a really powerful moment in the book.
And I wanted to mention, Dave, what you said about what Storm did, how Cyclops reacted. What you're saying is logical and correct. Cyclops wasn't dealing with logic at that point.
All emotion.
Yeah. He was just angry. And you can tell, like, I mean, and man, the drawing of that was perfect because you like Storm sort of had this like shame look on her face. And, you know, and she was like, I was trying to protect you. And he's like, what do you mean? And everything. And, but like, I know like a rational Cyclops would have understood, but I can understand. It's like my last memory of my mom and dad were, you know, my mom shoving me out of a plane that like, and I, like me and my brother, we should have died. And that's the last I saw of you. You didn't even come back. And he's like, I didn't know I had anything to come back to, dude. He goes, hey, what do you want from me? My wife died. I thought you guys died too because I saw you plummeting to your death. I was all alone too. And then once Scott started hearing that, it was kind of like, okay, we kind of have more in common than I realized it. You weren't just being a deadbeat who just left me. And once he started realizing that, he started calming down a bit. But that was some heavy emotional stuff to go through.
And even for Corsair as well, too. You know, once Storm kind of told him, no, he understands about losing someone. You know, he lost Jean. There was something. So then it's like, oh, okay. So I was like, wow, that's a heavy moment to kind of go through because we've seen how Scott was reacting losing Jean. Now it kind of made me think like, oh, well, I can understand now how Corsair, whatever he said, you know, he was feeling and going through just because of how many times, you know, in the story that they kind of brought it up. Well, he had to see his wife get executed in front of him and thought he was all alone now. So yeah, it's cool kind of how they're two people on the same path and just how they dealt with it. All right, well, let's go ahead and move into who went the extra mile for this issue. Dave, do you have someone that went the extra mile?
Yeah, I do, sir. I mean, it's got to be the guy who took not one, but two to the chest.
Yeah.
It's got to be Colossus, right? Like, you know, I can't remember the second one, but the first one was all to protect Charles. So, and then took that one and then takes another hit. You know, and for him to be featured so prominently on the cover, he didn't get a lot of time in the panels, but he had the two biggest moments. I felt pretty strongly that he had the two biggest moments. So he is definitely my guy who went the extra mile.
Very good choice. Jason, do you agree or do you have somebody else?
Oh, I agree with Dave. That was going to be my original choice, but for the sake of the show, I'll throw in Tigra. I mean, this isn't Tigra's fight. I mean, Tigra's with the Avengers. But, you know, they came to the Avengers asking for help. She was the only one available. She stepped up. She went toe-to-toe with Deathbird. I'll give it to Tigra.
She seemed pretty excited to be there, too, I thought. Her being in the book was fun.
Yeah, she put a little fun element to it. I will agree.
Yeah, definitely. I thought she played very well off of Wolverine, and they were kind of, you know, having some fun between each other.
I was going to say, when I saw her on the cover, I was like, she's not a mutant, is she? I didn't know what was going on.
I like it. They go to the house and like, we're busy. Sorry. See ya. We can help you with this.
But Tiger's here. Like, you can have her.
You can have her. Yeah. Go ahead. Bring her along with her. Delvin, who went the extra mile for you?
Jared in the comments says extra mile was Tigra. Immediately more value added than Angel. That's not saying much. I mean, there are a couple of blades of grass that were in the issue that also were more helpful than Angel. I digress. So since it was already mentioned with Colossus, and I agree, like my dude not only took one for the team, he took two easily, if not more. It was also mentioned in the chat about Auburn Elvis, like mentioning a unique use of power and how Storm used her powers to get this corrosive substance off of Colossus, thereby saving his life, because that was something that had never happened to him before. I'm going to go with Deathbird only because I always appreciate like a good villain who comes in and just kicks butt. And she did. She kicked butt on camera. She kicked butt off camera. So like she every time that they brought her up, she was a threat. And that says that that's somebody who Chris Claremont takes very seriously. So I will too and give her the extra mile.
Another good choice as well. So there's a few good choices here. I would have chose Colossus as well too on this one. But I will give a quick special mention just to Charles Xavier. And we talked about it earlier on with him choosing Kitty and Nightcrawler for, I'm hoping, what will come in the next issue for them just kind of taking that Shi'ar down a peg. With that, let's go ahead and get into the ratings for this issue. It is a 1 through 5 rating. 5 is you loved it. It gave you a ring to swing from. 4, you really liked it. 3, liked it. It's okay. 2, didn't like it. And 1, you hated it. It turned you into a baby. Dave, 1 through 5.
So when I got the email and you gave me the books that we were doing, I was pretty excited about the Spider-Man. And I was like, I can almost tell where I'm going to land on this one. And then I looked at the X-Men and I was like, oh man, that's really in that era that is not real familiar with me. And I was like, that's probably going to be a 3 for me. But however, I did find myself after I finished it, I was like, that's, it made me want another another issue or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it also made me want to go back and read maybe a couple in the back. So because of that, I'm going to go from a 3 to a 4. Just because of the fact it made me want to check something else out and read a little bit further, because I'm not real familiar with this era of the guys. I do like the animated series, but this is kind of unfamiliar to me. So I'm going to go a 4 strictly on the fact that it made me want to see what was next, and I think any good book does that for you.
I think that's very well said there. That made you interested in more and also interested in a little history as well. Jason, 1 through 5.
I'm with Dave on a 4 with this one. I really enjoyed the action elements within it. It's a good story arc that we're continuing. The relationship with Cyclops and Corsair is interesting, and it left us on a good cliffhanger. So 4 from me.
Delvin, are you at a 4 as well?
Before I get to mine, Matt gave it a 4 as well, says a great start to a classic story. Auburn Elvis says, I agree on the 3 or 4. A 4 is fine. And I'm at a 4 myself. So far, the X-Men, with the exception of the Kitty Fairy Tale, after 150, they have been on it and in a very good way. The action has been very good. And while I thought the first part of the book was a little bit exposition heavy, a little bit word heavy, more than made up for it in the second half of the book with the devastation that Deathbird wreaked on New York City. And so I just high marks. And I don't know how this is going to end up, but like you already got the Brood in the background, so it ain't going to be great. So looking forward to seeing what happens. So I give it a 4.
Well, in the comments as well, too, Jarrett gives it a 4, and I am going to join you all also at a 4. So it's another boom, boom, aka boom, 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 aka boom, boom. Everybody get on the floor. This is going to be a 4. Boom, we did it. Woo! 4 and a 4. That makes 4 cool guys. With that, that's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. You got a comment or a question? You can call us and leave us a voicemail that we will play later on in the show. Leave a message at 707-532-5269. That's 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
We left Warren Worthington standing by to pick up the phone.
Pick up the bill.
So he's not good for much else. Up until they turn him into Archangel. They turn him into Archangel, things happen.
We will be right back.
Do you like the Transformers?
Yes.
Do you like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Do you like IDW Comics?
And comic book podcasts?
Then come check out Ninjas and Bots. Each week we look at an issue of Transformers
or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from their IDW Comics incarnation. We drop episodes every Saturday morning.
Just like the cartoons we loved as a kid. The show can be found on your favorite podcatcher and at johnreadscomics.com.
See you then.
Welcome back from the break. Now let's get to the feedback part of the show where we share your comments, emails, questions, and shares in a segment called Crusader Comments. We are thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout outs to our Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade. They enjoy early access to special LONGBOX episodes, voting to help determine show content, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan W. Wright.
And Helica Wolf.
Auburn Elvis.
Joined us in the chat. Thank you, Auburn Elvis. Bill Beer.
Bradley Dello.
Braxton Underwood.
Clinton Robeson.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins, Battle Wagon himself, joining us not only in the chat, but here with us live.
So sexy.
And in our hearts.
Eric Hodges.
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Heinz K.
You missed Gerald Green.
Gerald Green.
I already got him now. Heinz K.
Jason Keene.
Jason Lady.
Jeremy L. I did it on purpose that time. Jeff Polier.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jarman too.
Jim Meal.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Kathy Bright, the MVP.
That is so not true. Oh, I'm fixing to mess this one up. Matt and Lindsay.
Paso.
Matt and Lindsay Paso. Thank you, Delvin, for the pet call out.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devons.
Paul Hicks.
Rick of Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price. Come on down.
Tony Pennington.
And last but certainly not least, Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Keep in mind that we record these episodes well in advance of release, so if you're a recent addition, we should be adding you soon, but still, no worries. Just let us know that we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com, and we will get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club member by heading over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade for as little as $1 a month. You'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. You should come check it out. But understand, times are tough. If you don't have any extra scratch lying around, but you still want to help us out, take a moment to write a review on Apple Podcasts or anywhere that you found this podcast. Write a review on that site. And if you want to keep it short with just star ratings, it helps raise the profile of the show, and we will share your review on the next show. Now we'll talk about social media shares and retweets from Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles 78. We were talking about Amazing Spider-Man 222 and Uncanny X-Men 151 from July 1981. Go ahead, Dave.
Chris at BTO Bat Books.
Let it roll!
In the highway.
Thanks for joining us, by the way. Chris, I don't know if he's still there or not, but thank you for joining us regardless.
Scotty Cameron.
Fan Film Fridays podcast.
Author D.A. Lamont.
Doc Strange.
Serpy Matt.
Coffee and Comics.
And Magazines and Monsters. We have a few social media comments. One from Scotty Cameron, who says, I always wanted to see Spider-Man fight Professor Zoom. Wait, wrong character. I mean Zoom. Johnny Quick? Nope, I've got the wrong universe. It's Speed Demon. The funny part is that Speed Demon is a member of the Squadron Sinister, which is Marvel's crime syndicate.
And Jared would say here, pull over, boy, and get your ticket right.
Well, Doc Strange said that Professor Xavier is a jerk, and sometimes he is. Well, he didn't say that sometimes he is. He just said Professor is a jerk. I said sometimes he is.
And I'll take one from M. Anthony Geraldo, Rico Suave himself. I just picked up the ASM issue finally a few months ago. Well, good for you. I'm glad you were able to pick up a cool issue.
Pick up the issue.
Mm-hmm. I got my eye on Spotify from Scotty Cameron says, great episode. Like the review of Amazing Spider-Man and Uncanny X-Men. Even comparing an X-Men cover to Dawson's Creek. That sounds like something we'd do.
It does. We didn't want to wait. You know what? I'm just don't say. We
what has to be over.
I said don't sing. You can call us and leave us a voicemail that we will play on the show. Leave us a message at 707-532-5269. That is 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
It's stereo. And thank you to everyone for the likes, shares, follows, and comments. We appreciate your friendship and your help in spreading the word about this podcast.
And that is the show. Be sure to check out the website longboxcrusade.com where posts are made for journaling this crusade. We want to thank Dave, the Battle Wagon, for joining us this episode. Also, Jason and Delvin and Jared, who was able to join us in the chat. So glad you're feeling a little bit better. Hopefully you get well soon. But before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us all on the internet. And we'll go back to Dave.
Well, you can't find me on the internet. I'm like this ghost, I'm like a ghost out there. I almost got back on the other day. I will say this. I remember what I was doing, but I was like, almost signed back up, but I didn't. But for now, we do have a system and it has worked. And this has happened several times. If Yard Sale's still in the chat, he'll tell you. If you tweet or X or whatever we do or Instagram to Yard Sale and you make it care of Dave, he will screenshot that and text it to me. I will respond. He'll screenshot that and send it back to you on the social media of your choice. It's so much fun. It sounds complicated, but it's really not.
And that's a level of support that we like to give here at Longbox Crusade. We are your messengers.
You're all of us like carrier pigeons, digital carrier pigeons. I was
going to say that, but yeah.
Digital carrier pigeons.
Or at least Jared is. Thank you, Dave. If you want to reach out to Dave, you can definitely do that. And Jared will get it all straightened out and be your man. Delvin, where can you be found?
Twitter, X, DEE_RAY1977. Instagram at Delvin Ray. What about you, Jason?
You can find me at Jason Albrick on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads.
And I can be found at Christatos01 on the X. And if you want to chat with Jared, even though he's not here, he still will respond back to you. He can be found at the Yard Sale Artist at. You can find that on all your social media outlets. Just look up the Yard Sale Artist and you will find him there. And if you want to get interactive with us via live chat, be sure to enter in to win some free stuff on our live raffles. Join us for our next episode of Doing It live stream on YouTube. It's going to be the second Sunday of every month, just like we're doing right now at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and check out Longbox Crusade on YouTube. And make sure you please subscribe for our channel and click on the bell so you get reminded of when we go live. And while you're waiting for us to go live, go back and look at all the other episodes that we have done so far. And I'll give you a hint. Just put it on for 30 seconds, and that'll give us a view, and that'll help appreciate and bump up the numbers. But you are going to get so interested in what we talk about, you'll be there for longer. I guarantee. Thanks for listening. We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Amazing Spider-Man Chronicles. You got a comment or a question? Email us at contact@longboxcrusade.com or leave a comment on the Longbox Crusade Facebook, Instagram, or X page, all at Longbox Crusade. Until next time, take care and please join us on the next episode as we continue on the crusade to
read them all.
Woo. The intro music is provided by musical genius Joe November.
Check out his SoundCloud at JOSEFLIN99. You won't regret it.
All songs, song clips, and characters discussed are copyright of their respective copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. We are just fans that like to share our love of comics.
Outtakes.
Sorry for those folks that were on X waiting for us, but you could help us out so we could just become premium members. You can do that by joining the Crusader Club for $1 a month. We can get premium service on X so we can
get back on X.
And this can go live to everybody watching us just for $1 a month. You can help us get on X Premium where we can stream to you live. If you can only help us, we would appreciate it. And so would all the people on X.
The volume got turned up. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
I have a confession. I forgot this was live stream. I would have shaved if I'd have known.
And I would have put on pants.
I still don't have on pants, but I mean, I would have shaved.
That's all right. You know how we are. We either with beards or pantless, and that's just the way to go. Things roll quicker when Jared's not here, doesn't it? We get to things a lot easier.
Yeah, you know Jared, and you just blah blah.
Talky. Yeah, I'm so funny. Some Leonardo. Got the Leonardo gonna make sure everything go okay.
Y'all are going to be in trouble when he listens to this. Jared, I am being good. I am not saying anything.
That's tomorrow's problems, Dave. That's not today's problems.
That's right.
No, we got to have some fun. That's the point of being the one out. You do get some grief from the others.
Yeah, that's right. I've felt it. I've been on the receiving end of this. It just feels good to be on the dishing end for a change.
Yeah. They just use a voice recording for me. Says trash can. Bring back old bits, baby.
Old bits. Trash. Hey, Billy D is in the chat as well. Thanks for joining us. That's my song for the theme music. All right.
Great job, Pat.
Thank you, Delvin. Thank you. And that just reminded me, I guess I'm bad at doing this. So let me get the right layout here. Boop. And boop. There we go. Now we're in a show here.
It's official.
Yes.
Good job again, Pat.
Thank you.